everybody. Welcome to our show, Construction Roadway to Success. I'm Emad.
Issa.
And Hanny.
And today's show is going to be about actually doing the work. I'm going to turn it over to Hanny about the previous show.
Yeah, so the last episode we talked about the get the work, which is basically bidding, going to find the work, getting the work, that whole process. And today we're going to talk about process number 2 is doing the work. And that all starts by after you win the job, you have a turnover meeting with your project manager. So as a project estimator, my responsibility is to introduce the project and how it was bid and all the thought process behind it from, subcontractors mainly and equipment use and material use, who we're using for certain materials and hours on certain items. And
now, a lot of people might be thinking like on the turnover meeting, before the turnover meeting, do project managers get involved in the bidding process, Hanny?
They do sometimes. If it's a decent sized job, then yes. If it's something small, then usually the estimator just handles it. But on your general contractor bidding a big road widening or bridge or whatever, you do want to get your input from your project manager and even your superintendents as well, because they'll be out there bidding, building the job. So once we get the job, we sit down with the project manager and we basically turn over all the information we have to that gentleman or woman, and they basically take that data and our thinking process and turn it into a schedule.
And from there, once we get the schedule together, we'll figure out when the pre-construction meeting happens. That is something that you would communicate with the city, state, the owner, if it's a private project or not. And in that meeting, basically, the project management team will be there with the estimator, and we would basically discuss the project from all the critical path information, all the important stuff that needs to happen. We don't actually talk about every line item and every section of it, but we talk about when we can work, when we can't work, the times when we got to be in the road, out of the road, things like that.
One other thing also, just to cut you off, but a lot of companies, the project estimator is sometimes also the project manager. So you'll have, on large jobs, you'll have separate project manager. Smaller jobs, the estimator actually handles the project management for as far as paperwork and whatnot, and then the superintendent will deal with the actual building of the job.
Well, I've seen companies that bring in their superintendent for the project during the bidding process so that he knows the ins and outs, where the dirt's coming from, where the pipe's coming from, who their suppliers are and stuff. So a lot of companies may do it differently. When we're talking in here, we're just giving you our insight of our opinion, how that should go.
Yeah, for me as an estimator, the doing the work part, sometimes I don't want to get too much information, because what happens when you get a lot of different heads in a room looking at a job, you start finding all the problems of the job that will basically going to inflate your number, because you start assuming things. Superintendents think, oh, this might not work because he's thinking about one way, and then the project managers think, oh, this, a lot of people try to find the negative in the job when I'm trying to win the job, and we can overcome those negatives if it's not, you start getting to the smaller negatives. Something big everybody should know about, but
yeah.
There's a lot, like you said, where's the dirt coming from?
Mm-hmm.
How much dirt do you need? If you need, 500 yards, it really don't matter. But if you need 300,000 yards borrowed, then
you better have a source.
You better have a source, and that, we're not going to go bid a blind to find 300,000 yards of dirt. But if I need, 2,000-3,000 yards, I can find somewhere to get them from.
For sure. So, and in that process too, you got to submit a schedule to the DOT.
Yeah. So the schedule is done usually by the project manager, because he's gonna he sets this the way it should. A good method. I won't say the way it should work, but a good method is have the project manager set the schedule. So as the owners of the company, you say, hey, you're the one who said you're gonna do it this way. It's not me. Okay, I bid it. You put it together. Obviously, if it's not working, can't blame nobody else.
And how often is that schedule followed?
That's a good question. It's like, they have phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. The contractors will start at phase 2 sometimes because, plans,
utilities.
they're just they're a starting point, but a lot of you got utility issues. A lot of them do the work. Like you said, if you got to get dirt, so sometimes the people that put the job together don't think like, they say, okay, you need dirt. Well, there might be a cut somewhere. We should start at the cut. We can take that dirt and put it where the fill needs to go. but they want it, phased in a certain way. But it's more economical for the contractor to say, hey, well, I'm not gonna go get dirt, and then I'm gonna go get dirt from on site, not from off site.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of different things. That's what a schedule, changes.
And it's crazy too, like all the different contractors. Like I've noticed in my career that 4 different people see it 4 different ways. I would want to see it. When I was on the DOT side of things, I would want to see something built a certain way, but I don't control the job. And I see them doing it their way, and sometimes you sit there and say, "Oh, that's not the right way to do it," but you don't know that until it's done.
Exactly.
So,
like I said, there's 10 ways to skin a cat.
that's right.
So.
But there's always a method to the madness,
Yeah.
at least in that person's head, whoever is doing the actual work.
Of course.
So that's the key. And a lot of times you'll have some issues like Hanny was just saying, that they didn't look ahead, and there's a cut somewhere and there's a fill somewhere, and they want you to do the fill before the cut. And that's where you're out in the field, your superintendent and your foreman and all those guys will be discussing that with the owners, engineers or whoever, to get that situated usually.
Another big thing, like, if you're, a lot of our work requires underground digging. So sometimes they'll have on the plans, you'll find a water line that nobody knows was there, or an old fiber optic, something, and they say, hey, you know what? We end up redesigning the pipes. The pipe schedule changes. We end up saying, we're going to throw a box here, go around this instead of trying to get underneath it, whatever. So, that phase is going to be delayed while we figure out what to do. The contractor is not going to stop working. We're going to go find somewhere else to work.
Well, at least for the DOT, I don't know how it is in NCDOT. I don't know how it is in other states. If you look at the pipe schedule, it actually says it's for estimating purposes only. Mm-hmm. So your actual surveying and layout of your pipe structures and all that stuff have to be done after the fact.
Yeah, I've kind of
But they give
in the field.
they give you a pretty good idea of where everything's going to go and how they want it done. But some guy who holding a survey stick on top of the ground don't know what's under there.
Not at all. And that little guy you see that's marking, he's painting, he got a little machine. Yeah, he's just guessing. They give you a 2 foot. They say, hey, the gas line's here, 2 foot this way, 2 foot that way.
So it's a 5 foot.
It's like, come on, dude.
5 foot area that it could be in, and that could get scary here or there.
It's funny if you have a good operator. And I was working on a job site, just happened to be walking, checking out the job, and one of the machine operators was digging about 4 or 5 feet in the ground, and he felt a big water line. He felt that he was digging, and he stopped. He said, hey, something's there. Something big is right here. So he was a very experienced operator, and he backed his bucket out, and he said, go look and dig. And I was standing on top of the trench, and I was looking around. I said, well, damn, there's no markings here. I looked across the street, and there was a water marking. And it was, pointing towards us.
Yeah.
But the guy marked it on the other side of the road. We ended up digging and finding a 12-foot water main line. I mean, if he would have popped 12 inch. If he would have popped that line, we'd have flooded that damn road.
Been raining.
It would have been raining. Our trench would have been gone. All that. So that's the kind of things, like you said, underground. You never know what you're gonna run into.
Never.
But experience helps.
Well, let's get back on topic.
Yeah.
So once we get done with the pre-construction meeting, we set the date that we're going to actually start physically working, and we get all our subcontractors in line, figure out who needs to go where, when, and what time, and what date.
And that date, I managed to cut you off, it's called the notice to proceed.
Correct.
That date is the NTP. That's when the date when you're going to start. And that's when the time starts counting.
That's correct. So once your time starts, you got to get out there, get your traffic control in. You have traffic control that is, that's stationary, and then you've got your daily stuff. So you basically start the project, and throughout the project, you'll have issues that inevitably will come up. There's no question about it. We're digging underground, like we always say. We've got stuff that could be missed on the plans. We got stuff that they could say we want it done this way, but in actuality cannot be built in that particular fashion. So we'll have to go back and forth with them and get exactly what needs to be done according to what they're looking for.
And just to clarify, when they say time, inside the contract, there is a set amount of days that the DOT provides for how long it should take to complete that work. After said time, there's also a dollar amount of what they call liquidated damages that you are charged every day after the day that they expect it to be completed. There's also things that could change in that, but that's just an idea of what they say when they're talking about time.
Yeah, I mean that's a big thing, and that's how you work your schedule around. You know, most contractors, they say we got 240 days on a job. They base their schedule on 240, but really it should be 180 day or something. I mean, it's usually a lot less than a lot of time, because you think 240 days is 240 days. That includes Saturdays and Sundays and holidays and rain and whatever, depending on the time of year. So but you set your schedule to fill in that 240 day gap, so you have some float time.
And you also have time restrictions. So some of the roads you can't get in before 9 a.m. You got to be out before 4 p.m. or at 4 p.m. at the latest. Or that has its own fines, hourly fines. Highways every 30 minutes.
We
10
all know
minutes.
our estimator saw those.
Yeah, I mean highways could be $15,000 for every 15 minutes. So you're looking at $1,000 a minute.
$1,000 a minute.
I mean they take this seriously.
Yeah.
They take it very seriously. So, there's a lot of factors, and going back, doing the work, like Ahmad said, once you get the schedule, you go out there, you start. You got to think about subcontractors, because 95% of these jobs that are roadway jobs, you as a general contractor are not doing all the work. So you have what they call specialty items, like your striping, water and sewer. Like a lot of highway contractors don't do water and sewer. Some do all three. But I rarely find a highway contractor that does striping and signs and specialty items, even like signal work, specialty. Bridges. Bridge contractors usually just do bridges. You have 75% of bridge contractors only want the bridge, and you got big contractors will do the bridge as well as the roadway, but they don't do the asphalt. So
Yeah.
a lot of general contractors don't do asphalt. Asphalt companies don't want to mess with it usually. They want to just do the asphalt. We want to pave and leave. Concrete, curb and gutter, that's maybe 25% of general contractors do their own concrete work. Otherwise they sub it. So it requires a variety of subcontractors, specialty contractors. And in our business, to do the work, we as estimators go out and get as much work as we can, and then we fill the boat up and we figure out how to get it done later. So you're thinking, a general contractor, my subcontractor is doing the same thing. He lined up 10, 15, 20 jobs for the summer. They all got to be done at the same time. So coordination is a big part of doing the job. And you want to try to line up different subs on certain times if you don't, if you don't feel confident that, if you know that guy's winning a lot of work. So it's,
Also, we talked about this in previous during the bidding, that it's very important to have a good subcontractor. They have to be able to perform for you. And the other 20 projects or 30 projects or 5 projects, whatever it is that they have. So picking the right guys to help you, or the right companies, I should say, it's not a guy or a girl, it's an actual company. Picking the
building
right
a
company.
team.
You got to build a solid team.
Building a team.
And you should always look for new team members, because there's always,
yeah, and you want to give opportunities to different people, different
not just
companies.
opportunities. If you're not looking, you don't know who the best is. You
Yeah.
can't just be settled and sitting back and going, hey, I got a great team.
A lot of it's really funny. A lot of contractors have a reputation. So some of them have a great reputation. Some of them, they're just the normal contractor, don't got no problem. Then you have some that people say, "Oh man, I hate working with this guy. I hate working with that guy. He's this, he's that." And then you work with him the first, second time, and you're like, "Man, this guy's great.
Yeah.
He does everything I need him to do." So there's always two sides to the story.
Yeah.
And you have to basically just try everybody out of subs, even material suppliers. Some material suppliers, they're good. It's so annoying as a project manager when you want to order pipe and the guy never answers the phone.
Yeah.
It's like, or order any material, you can't get nobody on the phone, can't nobody give you no, information. Sometimes you gotta do some mills beforehand. That guy's not giving you the information. Your project manager is just going
But
nuts.
moving forward with the doing the work project, then you move to mobilizing everything out to the job site and coordinating with your foremen and
Yeah, I mean you
start
got
digging.
Well, you basically just turn it all over to the project manager, and then he'll go to his superintendents or foreman or whoever is the next in line. And if it all goes well, you're only there to help them facilitate the issues that may arise and to keep everything moving forward.
Very important to have. You have monthly meetings with your city or state or inspections. You have monthly meetings, but it's very important to get used to having weekly meetings with your project manager and your
Progress meetings.
Yeah, progress
Sometimes
meetings.
daily
Yeah.
meetings, not
And
just
daily
weekly.
meetings,
Yeah.
whatever you have to do. I mean, that project manager needs to be also it's helpful for that project manager to talk to the estimating department, whoever's doing it, if he sees problems, because the estimator needs to know what's going on, for next time. So if you get a job like this, or you get a job with, I don't want to use this person, or that person is great, or we did this type of thing on the project in half the time that you thought we'll do it. So that gives the estimate, hey, I can, start manipulating the numbers next time because I know this is not going to take as long. Or normally this took us twice as long as you said it should. So now I got to think, okay, I got to chill because I can't say they're going to put, 200 foot of pipe down when they barely can do 50 feet when
Yeah.
we're digging this deep. There's a lot of, you're always learning.
Communication is key, is what we're trying to say.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. So
Constantly, all the time, 24 hours a day.
I think, you guys got a lot of experience. Why don't we flip it and say, what is a problem that you guys encountered during doing the work that you thought, hey, something that was crazy, something that was cost a lot more, something that saved you a lot? Give an
Well,
example.
To give an exact example, every time Andy bids a job. I can't think any. I mean, you put me on a spot there.
Oh, I got one.
Go ahead, E.
Oh, yeah. So a few years back, we were doing not an intersection improvement, it's like a turn lane. We're deleting a turn lane and doing a little bit of an improvement in an intersection. And we were digging about 15 feet deep, putting in a pipe across the street. And the foreman walks away for 5 minutes and tells the operator, don't move the machine, I need to check on something, I'll be right back, and we will continue, because he was spotting him. We knew there was fiber there. Didn't know exactly how deep, we haven't uncovered it, but we're already 14 feet in the ground. So we're pretty close to where the pipe needed to be. When the foreman came back, the operator did not obviously listen, and I got a phone call. And what we ended up doing is hitting a fiber optic line. And that's bad.
It wasn't even hitting, it was nicking.
It was scraped, and
Scratching
a few of them were messed up, not the whole bundle. But the long story short, basically, is it turned into like a $80,000-$90,000 problem for our company. And what the utility contractor said they had to do was repair the issue and build a bunker around it, basically. A whole room, an underground room. And I talked to everybody. I talked to the utility guys, I talked to the city guys, and they all said, well, there's nothing we could do about it. That's what the person decided they need to do, because if they ever have to go back and repair it, they want to just walk into a room and find the problem and repair it. I did not feel that that was necessary, and of course our insurance was involved, and I just told the insurance company that they repaired our mistake in, I think it was like 10 hours. Everything else they're doing, that was all additional. And I
Shut their job down for like 2 weeks or something crazy.
3 months.
3 months. Wow.
They had to build it. They dug the whole road up, and they built what looked like a bunker underground.
Mm.
So we were delayed 3 months, and we got through all that. And what I found out later is that they did not get paid their $80-some thousand they were asking about, and they only got paid $20,000 for the repair and, I guess, loss of revenue. So we got lucky on that one, but it's very important to have insurance.
Yeah,
That's a
definitely.
big problem that you would get into if you were to hit fiber or a 12-inch main or something like that. Would cost you in the thousands, hundreds of thousands.
Yeah, but on that, dude, mistakes, man, they teach
We
you
have, I have
so
a good
much,
one.
man.
We're working at the airport. I did a job for a friend of mine. He was a general contractor. He had these manholes on the runway that we needed to basically replace the manhole, kind of strengthen them up, so that planes can go over them. The manholes are old. They want to put new, plane rated or whatever. I can't remember the name, but. And so I said, okay, we need to basically adjust these manholes. I thought, $8,000 each. It's going to take a lot more concrete around them. The manhole itself was maybe $1,500, whatever. I can't remember the exact details, but what ended up happening, unfortunately, the plan that I saw, had been revised, and they added some piles to hold these the structure we were building over the existing manhole. And I didn't pay attention. I didn't catch it.
So the
And-
structure or the actual manhole?
So they wanted to build a box and put the manhole on it. But there was a drainage structure below it. But the drainage structure was actually brick. And they wanted these airplanes, 747s, to be able to,
Yeah.
pass over them. So,
In our intro, you'll see the picture.
yeah, so we end up, these piles, we don't do piles. And piles is a specialty item.
Yeah.
So we went in, and they came back to us and said, what about these piles? It's been a while, but so they said, we don't do piles. They don't do piles. So we're all like flabbergasted, like, oh, what. So we said, okay, well, how much can this be? Put some piles in.
Pretty expensive, actually.
So it was only 4 manholes, I believe.
Yeah.
And the guy came out there. We got contacted a specialty guy, very professional, knew what he was doing. He came out there, and his whole response was, it could be from $100,000 to $1 million. So we said, excuse me. We bid these like I think $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 each, say $40,000, and you're telling me, $100,000 just to put these piles. So we went back and said, okay, what's the purpose of this? And they said, well, those manholes are brick, they're old. We
To prevent
we need
settling.
we need to hold this box. So we said, okay, why don't we just rebuild it? I'm not gonna pay this guy $1 million. God knows how much. He just wanted mobilization charge. He wanted this. He wanted that.
It's a nice estimate.
But we end up actually mobilizing the guy and paying him $25,000 to go away at the end of it, just to try to get because we end up realizing, hey, why don't we just rebuild the structure?
Yeah.
Makes more sense. We could thicken the structure up and build it. It wasn't that deep. It was maybe 8, 9 feet, 10 feet. But the process we went through was just crazy because the structure had to be airport rated. So we built a bunker that if there was a nuclear bomb, you can go on this box and you are not going to get harmed. I mean,
all 4 boxes. Yeah.
those boxes were massive. They had massive amount of rebar in them, and it took us a month or so to build 4 boxes. It was
Wow,
crazy.
Well, we had
Right
to build.
on there,
We had to form them.
We had to form them
up
in the
place,
hole.
So
Yeah, and they wanted poured like a monolithic pour,
That's
except the top. It was. I
That's
mean,
the first I'm hearing of
it
this.
was crazy.
monolithic meaning one pour.
Yeah, one pour. So they wanted the base and the walls in one pour, then you put this top on it.
Yeah.
And we had to get in that hole, and I mean, it's like doing a culvert, but a 6x4 culvert.
So it's an oversight. Happens, man.
It was crazy, but that's the kind of thing. Project managers, they don't know what to do. They're like, hey man, what the hell is this?
That's why they come
That's
back to us and go, "What happened?"
Like, whoa,
What were you thinking?
Yeah.
I was.
So I mean, that was like a crazy thing. Fortunately, everything worked out. The general contractor was awesome to work with. They understood, the mistake. Everybody was, was cool about it, and we ended up solving the problem. And we weren't trying to make any money at that time. We were trying to get the problem solved and move on with life. We learned a lot.
Yeah.
And, you make these mistakes. So project managers make mistakes, estimators make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. You just try to limit it and try to make it as cost effective for everybody involved. And it's better when you have a good engineer working with you that will, be understanding to the problem.
Yeah.
So
And that goes back to what the good engineer that he's talking about. Let's say you're on a project and you're having nothing but issues. There's only one way to solve your issue. I don't care if you want to call him whatever name you want to call him and you want to argue with him all day long. There's only one way to solve your issue, and that's to get done.
exactly.
The sooner you get finished, the sooner the headache is over and everybody moves on. Whether you make money or lose money, that is, the longer you're there, the more you're going to lose, I guarantee you. So the best thing you can do is if you're having an issue, is get the project finished. Get out of there.
Just do the
Stop
project.
arguing. Stop fussing. Just
One of
get
the
out
big
of there.
one of the big things that a lot of people need to understand too, the people who do the plans are also a contract engineering firm. 90% of the time the city does not do the plan, or the state hires a firm to do the plan. So what happens, the state kind of smart about this because they say, okay, somebody else designed it and somebody else is building it. We're the middleman. So if something happens, either you screwed up or you screwed up, not us. But they're holding the bag because it's their job and their money.
Yep.
So you try to get if you get 3 good people, and then you get the design firm that's good understanding, because they make mistakes too. And some contractors will not point their mistakes out until after the bid is done and they're on the job and say, oh, by the way,
Yeah.
we got a problem here. And here goes, boom.
Yeah.
I just heard of a project near us that overran. I mean, you're talking about $30-40 million project that is overrun by $30 million, and the city cut the contractor off. And
Overran
basi-
already?
Yeah, and they
Water
doubled the
treatment
price.
plant, yes.
Yeah,
Estimate?
no, they paid
No.
them
They
Paid
paid
over.
them.
like an extra $30 million.
It's like $70 million.
How did it get that far?
I have
So
no clue.
crazy.
Everybody's trying to figure out what the hell happened.
How did it get that
So the city basically cut the job off, and they
Yeah.
haven't finished the job yet.
Oh, wow.
So, and they said, we're banning you for a certain amount of years. You can't bid.
Yeah.
I mean, that project manager is a genius for the company, I guess, in
Yeah.
somebody's eyes, because he made double the job and he didn't finish it.
Yep.
But me as a contractor,
Well, their insurance will finish it. I promise
yeah, I
you
mean,
that.
me as a contractor, I would have said, okay, we're here to make money, but
Yeah.
damn, come on, man. I mean,
Dude,
you're not here to rob nobody.
Like-
we want to work with these people again,
on that aspect, we were talking about good and bad contractors. Bad contractors can get run off very quick.
Oh, yeah.
You upset enough people at the DOT, they'll cut you off. They'll take your certifications away. They'll make it really hard for you to bid. Nowadays, design build, they select bidders.
Yeah.
So it's not just
Some
low
people
bid.
don't think it's fair, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
You mean in this world you gotta play the game by the rules, and as the rules change, your game has to change.
Yeah.
If you're not changing your game, building the project, bidding the project, getting paid, whatever it is, you have to change your way of thinking, because specs come out every 4 or 5 years, 6 years, whatever the specs come out, they change. So, you got to know your specs, and the great thing is the DOT allows the contractors to be involved in changing the specs, because the DOT says, we're working together. What do you want in this book that basically is our rules? How are we gonna solve disputes or figure out how to do something? Let's work together. So that's a good thing. The DOT gives the contractors.
It's got to be
The
a
out.
good working relationship, man. If
Yeah.
it's not, it makes it hard on everybody, from the project manager to the foreman, to even down to the operators and laborers, man. They have a tougher day out there if, they got some guy badgering them.
Oh, yeah.
about doing
The
something wrong,
inspector
doing
starts
something
nitpicking the project.
Yeah, and it's better to just stay away from that situation and just learn to work together, figure out where your differences are and how to come to a agreement of what the right way to do certain
I mean,
things.
many times as one of the top guys in the company, our project managers come to us and say, "Look, man, we got a problem here. We can."
Is
you
that
know-
really how that conversation goes?
I could break
Is
one
there a
off.
lot? Is there a lot more
It's
cussing?
more like we can
involved?
break one off from this because of this situation, and we look at it and say, "Look, man, we're not gonna sit here and we're not gonna ruin a relationship over $40,000
Yeah.
or $30,000 because you're looking at this moment, this problem. Okay, it's $30,000. We can charge them more. We can get more money for them. But we do $5 million of work with these guys every year.
Yeah.
We're gonna see these guys on the next job.
Yeah.
So I would rather work with them and be fair. And most of the time, if they're fair, they're gonna give us a share of the money they owe us. So you have to have a balancing act in doing the work, understanding your project managers and your superintendents are saying I made you extra money, I got you this, I found this situation where we can get an advantage. But we're not really thinking that. We're trying to get the job done and make the money we want to make. If we make a little more, great. If there's a problem, let's solve the problem. If we're entitled to some compensation, be fair. There's nothing wrong with this. Nothing wrong with making a little money on a job.
Yeah.
But you got to be fair.
Well, if it was bid accurately or close to accurately, and you're running the project according to your budget, even if you just hit your budget, you make what we are expecting to make. The key is obviously to come under budget, because the lower below the budget you are, the more money you're putting into the company's pockets. Let's just say it that way. So the key is always to be on time and under budget. That is what
Definitely.
that is what we are doing in the project management and that's the realm basically. So we need to give you a solid product within spec, on time, and under budget. That's what we're looking to do.
And then you hit 100.
Then that's it. If you're doing these 4 things as a project manager, as a foreman, as an operator, as a business owner, you're doing everything right.
Yeah.
That's all there is to it.
Definitely. Well, I think we had a great conversation today.
Oh, for sure.
I hope you guys learned something. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And I think, we found more topics to talk about. But just that's the basic of doing the work. We're going to get deeper into certain things about doing the work as we get into some more episodes. And again, if you have any questions or any comments or anything you want us to talk more about, please comment below.
And on the next episode, we're going to be talking about getting paid.
Yes.
So we really appreciate you guys listening in, and
Hope you enjoyed it.
keep bidding and keep digging.
Give us a
Thank
like.
you.